down there, it was no big deal.
Underneath it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Put skateboard decks on top of that.
Oh, yeah, without trucks.
Very dangerous,
Yes.
Yeah.
Good way to learn tricks, though.
We have a little spooner board that we use.
Nice. I like the skateboard idea.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering, like, the decking on that half pipe is rough, huh?
It's condensed.
Super rough, yeah.
Like,
Yes, I got that part.
is it really?
Insurance, I've heard it for town hall insurance will not cover it.
Oh, say
It's really old too, actually.
Had one in my backyard. Yeah.
One down there really needs like a sliced in half and like another 6 feet of transition in the middle.
Yeah.
It's a little short right now.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
I've ridden
You?
it quite a few times.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're live now. But we are still waiting for our fearless leader, Shane. And our pro tem is not going to be here either.
I was gonna say Miss Sally.
No pro tem.
No, but Shane, I just saw him. He was just here earlier, so I'm getting him coming in any second. Thank you. That's ours.
It's the leave. Yes, I get to run away.
Not take him.
Get to know me.
Sorry.
All right, and I'm gonna fuddle through this real quick.
Better in your house.
Here.
That's good.
Screen.
Jordan, did you feel like when everybody took the masks off, everybody had colds all of a sudden and viruses were spreading?
I thought it was gonna honestly be worse.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as you thought.
Okay, he'll be here in 2 minutes. All right. To keep us on track.
Perfect.
I love it.
15 minutes each.
Yep. All right.
I like the third one, always an important thing
Evaluate.
for some of these things that have been in existence for a long time.
Always evaluate the relevance.
Make sure everybody's on the same page about what the purpose is. So I have a procedural question. For these kinds of work sessions or other things, like if something's, you only talk about what's on the agenda, right? Like there's not any other additional discussion that really can happen.
So work sessions and special meetings, yes.
Yeah.
Regular meetings, we tend to go off the agenda sometimes and that's okay.
Sure.
But for special meetings, it's state statute that we can only discuss what we have posted.
Posted, because it's noticed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep. And I think we allow public comment now in work sessions and committee meetings. So kind of opened it up for that as well.
Are the committee meetings going on YouTube as well?
Yep.
All of them?
Yep. And that's new. We just started putting all our committee meetings and everything on there.
I mean, so people could just really binge watch on the town of Silverton.
I mean, that's what I did before I
I know
got
that's
this.
what you're doing.
So much fun. You were awesome.
Except that when I came here, I felt like I was meeting celebrities because I was literally watching you guys. For like months.
That's funny.
That's really funny.
Shane,
Sorry, I'm late. Oh, you're fine.
still my chair.
Oh, thanks.
Whenever you're ready, we can start the meeting because Nathan already pressed live.
Great. Welcome to today's work session. The time is 5:05 PM on May 2nd. I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
All right. Trustee Davis.
Here.
Right. Trustee Franker. Here. Trustee George.
Here.
Trustee Girma. Trustee Harper.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Barney. Present today, and Mayor Furman.
Here.
Great. Okay, so tonight, we're talking about the boards and committees that we have. I have a couple of goals tonight to solidify the list of trustees assigned to each committee and board. And we need to identify when they'll meet and evaluate their relevance and roles, if applicable. So I have a list of all of our committees here. Did it so we can put this guy over here. That's probably pretty small for you guys, huh? Zoom in.
That's good.
Let's see if we can zoom to the relevant committees. Right. So if we wanted to start, we could talk about kind of how we want to go about this. We could either kind of wipe everything clean, start from scratch, or we could address these yellow areas, which are where we are missing a committee member. We do have the top committees are designated by statute, except for the master plan committee. But the other ones are designated by statute, so they're in our code. And then the boards and commissions and committees at the bottom are additional kind of obligations that we have as a town.
So if I may, I think there's three primary options of what we can do tonight, and I didn't want to presume what the board's preference was, so I wanted to make sure we presented all three. So one is the two new trustees could simply fill the vacated seats on the boards and committees. We could do a mild reshuffling if anyone's schedules or interests have shifted, or if one of your interests are particularly strong on a committee that's already full, or we could start from scratch.
I like the second option.
What was the second one again?
The second one was a mild
Mild
reshuffling.
Mild shuffling.
Yeah, it's fine. I like what I'm doing. I would prefer to stay, at least for me, but if everyone wants to shuffle, that's cool.
I was just gonna say that after I joined Jim on the planning commission a few weeks ago, I actually liked that committee, so I'd be more than happy to do that, but also if somebody else wants to do that, or if I need to give up my position on the finance committee in order to do that, or whatever, but yeah.
Cool. And I think the only other note that I would have is I think that we started out with relatively balanced membership, and it's shifted a bit. And I think Sally is only on 2, but Tyler may now be on 4 or 5. I think I'm on 4 or 5. So we could shift things, and it also totally depends on the frequency of meeting. You know, the planning commission and the finance committee meetings are very regular, and everything else is, I mean, we'll talk about it, but everything else is mostly quarterly, even though there's at least one other, it says it's monthly, which is the master plan.
And I anticipate that to be monthly coming up here.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to put that in there. So if we want to just kind of go down each one and say, are we happy where we're at? Do we need another? Does that work for you all?
Well, it seems like if any of you ever need to shuffle out, like if have too many boards, I would say you should start first by,
Okay.
Taking away what doesn't work for your schedule. So we know those holes exist.
And I guess the other question would be if you, Gloria, received any input from the surveys that seemed like, there was some obvious reshuffling, like someone who put a board or committee that they're currently on is like a 1 level of interest.
I don't think anyone, let me just double check. Yeah. And I only received 3 responses.
Okay. Well, I guess maybe something else would be helpful is like starting out with like, what are the top interests of you guys? And then we can figure out if there's anything that we can do to accommodate those interests.
And then I was just told to, if Tyler joins the planning commission, then someone else needs to take his place on the board of adjustments.
Thanks.
Because you can't be on both.
Right.
Copy. Unless either of you guys had a real strong feeling for the planning commission.
I'm very positive about meetings that meet during the day. I know that we're going to move to that, but some of them that are longstanding might continue that. Did I hear finance is a daytime meeting?
It is.
I could do that.
Yeah,
Sweet.
all right. Keep everyone on there, great. All right, so our finance committee is Tyler, Dana and Jim. Does that work?
Great.
All right, and that works great because then we don't have to do more signatories and
I don't need
another resolution.
Copy.
I see that I'm on the public safety committee, which
I think that's
I think it works well.
Brian.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I might have
great.
suggested you on that one.
That's good.
You were voluntold, Jeff.
Perfect.
I've been very interested in the master planning process. I've been stalking them quite a bit. So unless someone else is very interested in moving on to that, I would be happy to keep participating in that brain space. Unless somebody else is really gung ho.
So right now it's just me as the chair, and I don't think we had any other trustees on it, but I don't think there's a reason to not.
And I had a note that said 2 were appointed to it, so I just wanted, but this was also left over from previous, so I'm not sure if
I feel like
decided or not.
The Molly? No.
Sally was on it early, and then there was a reason that she didn't. So it currently is, so also to be frank, the master planning committee has not been
Yeah.
active since community builders kicked things into gear. It was Elizabeth Bars, Sue Morris, me, I thought it was Sally, Melissa Childs.
Jess Wiegert was on the master.
Oh, and Jess, right. And then the original intention of that committee was to sit underneath Lisa to be more of like a workhorse committee to do some of the planning commission assignments given to Lisa to take some stuff off her plate, but then those drafts or ideas would be presented back to Lisa, filtered through the planning commission, and then presented back to here.
Yeah.
I think that the utility of that committee might be a little bit different. Once the community builders started the Compass project, there was no point in continuing the direction of that committee as it had started, because they took over everything. At this point, though, I do think it would have some great utility to like shepherd the last mile of the process and facilitate, how community builders interacts with the planning commission and Lisa to make sure that, something that I don't think has come up that much yet is like, how does the county component of our current master plan get impacted by the town's new master plan that really doesn't have anything to do with the county? So I do think that there's some pretty meaty issues that that committee could be really useful for.
Well, and maybe Gloria, to your point of like defining the ongoing purpose of that committee, it seems like it's going to shift. But yeah, I've been very interested in that process and happy to jump in there. But again, that's just a slight preference. I can be moved around.
Does anybody else have a strong interest that would prevent Dana from being the second member on that or to want to take my place? I'm stoked about it. I like doing it.
Good job. Cool. I'll keep it going.
Awesome.
Right. And I think where we're missing up there is Parks and Rec and Buildings and Grounds Committee didn't have any vacancies. Are you all comfortable staying on that committee? I know Sally said she is.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Public Utilities, we are needing one more on that committee.
I have a call into John to meet with him about the walkthrough that I missed.
Okay.
Oh,
Family situation that I had.
I was doing the same thing and he said Thursday could work this week. He's not available Monday through Wednesday, and we're not available Friday.
Sweet.
So maybe we could do Thursday.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy to take that spot after our walk. Very interested in the ins and outs of the town.
Yeah.
Quite literally, the ins and the
Okay,
outs.
and out, up and down.
He said the 1 o'clock that he did with Jeff
Okay, so then we have
on Thursday.
Tyler,
You're just all about.
Jim, and
all about
Jeff on the public utilities. Does that sound good?
Great.
Now we're on to ordinance and personnel committee. And this says quarterly, but I might be doing monthly in the next couple of months to get us caught up on some code stuff. A really fun committee.
Did it all meet during the day? Going there.
Let's see, who do we, yeah. Jim and Shane, did you all want to stay on the ordinance and personnel committee?
I've enjoyed that.
I love it. Yes.
If anyone want to join? And I am seeing here, we could put Sally on that committee, but it wouldn't meet during the day. It would meet in the afternoons.
Oh, afternoons.
Mhm. Or early morning. She's suggested early mornings before.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
You're
that's,
up too, haven't you, Jordan? You like the old 5:30 start?
I'm just wondering, is there utility to having,
Man,
Yeah.
is there, well, Shane, your overlap, like someone on the master plan committee, also on the ordinance and personnel committee? Because will there be code that will that have any connection? But I guess Shane, you're on both, so that seems like some continuity.
I think there's less like context from the master plan on that one and more context with the planning commission,
Oh, yeah.
which Jim can provide.
Great.
Because if they've recently like run into a series of issues and then that's why an ordinance is being like fast tracked through us, then we can help understand that better. And obviously Gloria and Lisa Adair also have that context.
Did we want to see if Sally wanted to be on this committee?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Because she said a maybe on that one, so
Which one are we talking about?
Ordinance.
personnel and ordinance.
Well, it's a good committee. It's fun.
They're all great.
I think they're all fun. I enjoy them.
All right, so if we put her on that, then we have addressed all of our committees on the top there.
Public utilities was going to be.
Me.
Tyler, Jim,
Trying to
and
keep
Jeff.
track.
And I will send this out afterwards.
Cool.
And this will be in our next packet as well, so that everyone can see who to contact for each committee. And then as far as the recovery team goes, this was started over COVID. We haven't met since February. But I'm happy to stay on that one. Needed. Then the library board. Going down,
did we get an email from Jackie saying that she wanted you on the board?
yes, you did.
Perfect.
I would like that.
Is everyone okay?
Would you like that?
Yes.
Is that something we can update in our
That is something we'll need to update for sure.
code? Says it should be the mayor. And if not the mayor pro tem.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Because it was Chris.
can we have the mayor and Gloria, or do we just want Gloria?
I don't particularly have a strong interest in it. I think the library is super important, but I think that
Let Gloria do it.
I serve a better role in other spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just change it so that Gloria can do it.
Okay. That'll come before you all.
I'd be curious to know the history of that and why that alignment was important, but, and I'm sure there was a reason, but I don't know what it is today. Or if it's still relevant.
I think they were like, oh, this is somebody that's willing to serve on boards. We're going to rope them into our board.
So this would include staff or elected or trustees? Is that what we're kind of thinking for the library board moving forward? Okay. Okay. And then planning commission, if everyone's okay, Tyler could be on the planning commission and Jim.
Do we ever
McDo.
appoint an alternate to the planning commission?
I think that
We haven't on this one, but we probably should.
we probably
I
should.
feel like we should.
That happens a lot and that's,
I like the idea of sometimes.
Lisa's saying no,
Oh,
we haven't.
No to the prospect of adding an alternate or no?
I'm asking.
Sorry. Like last
I
meeting.
think it's good to have two representatives there all the time, whether or not it's the two primary.
Judo chops on
I know that Sally's been watching a lot of them. I know that you have an interest too.
well, if Sally would prefer, yeah.
Or would she want to be the alternate for the Board of Adjustment?
So actually, that's the next one, but I've missed two of those meetings and I feel like I have a decent number of conflicts with the Board of Adjustments. And so I don't think I'm the most appropriate member to stay on if someone wanted to take that spot.
I can't because I want to be on the planning commission. I will say the only Board of Adjustments meeting I've been to, they're pretty severe, or they can be deemed as severe decisions based on what the people are asking. And it was the tip that I had got going in was just follow the law, just follow what's written. But it still ended up with somebody being very upset and getting some maybe not so nice emails. So just be prepared for that.
It's a quasi judicial board. They make very real decisions that impact community members. I think I went to two before I missed I think we've had four. So in the past, they're super rare.
Yeah.
It's like the least meeting committee ever. And then we've had 4 meetings, I think, in the last 2 years. And I think we've mostly rejected things that came to us at this point. And not because the board tends to reject things, but just because of the nature of what they were. And that tends to create.
And if you just read the thing, the only thing that you can adjust for is people that can prove hardship. Like that's it.
Which is a code issue.
And if they can't prove hardship, you're always just going to say no, and then you're going to have unhappy people. So.
Way to sell it.
Yeah. It's meaty and it's interesting and it's super.
Sally.
Just kidding, I'm kidding.
Well, don't we have to have 2 on the Board of Adjustments?
2 and an alternate.
2 and an alternate. Yeah, because Sally was the alternate there last time. She did well. She was great. She was just like, this is just what it reads and this is what we have to do.
I'd be happy to transition to alternate if we don't have
Okay.
2 new people that want to be primary.
And it's against the code for somebody to sit in the planning commission and that? Or
The planning commission's making the recommendation to send it to the,
Board of Adjustment members are not supposed to be.
I was gonna say I could be alternate, but if you're alternate, it's.
I'm promoting you to panelist, Lisa.
hopefully I'm not.
And that way you can interrupt this at any time. All right, Lisa's here with us too.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome to the party. Here she is.
Hi, Lisa. So we can appoint an alternate for the planning commission, is that correct?
I have never heard of a planning commission alternate, but it's not a bad idea. And then anyone on the Board of Adjustment is supposed to be trustees that are not on the planning commission.
Great.
Copy.
So for the planning commission, we have Tyler and Jim, and then maybe an alternate be Sally.
It sounds like the alternate should either be Sally or Dana, and then the other, whoever isn't that alternate should be the
Alternate for the zoning board of adjustment.
primary.
Well, and it sounds like what you were saying, Shane, is that potentially you should come off of the Board of Adjustments and Tyler can't.
So we'll
We
need,
almost need 2.
we'll need 2 for the Board of Adjustments.
And I said I can be the alternate, and then it just depends, because the problem we would have is if one of the primaries can't attend and I have a conflict as the alternate,
Yeah.
we then would be in a tough spot.
Jeff, it's got your name written all over it, man.
And they've met once in the last year that
In my, yeah, since I was, my tenure, it's what, a year and a half? Met once.
Yeah.
And one item on that agenda too. It just happened to roll into a planning commission meeting, which I happened to be sitting in on because I guess I didn't realize that it was not okay to be on both, and somebody had asked me to sit on it, and so then it was like a 9-hour meeting.
And you did a great job.
That's hyperbole. It was only 6 hours, but
It's.
I don't mind doing either being an alternate for planning commission or doing.
And you made someone cry.
I would say that if there's a mindset that you prefer, like the planning commission's more of like vision of the community and the Board of Adjustments is more like enforcing the code, however good or not it is today.
Oh, I know, planning doesn't sound so fun.
I can do the Board of Adjustments.
Fuck or wife.
You're just solid.
Nobody.
Had a book.
Gotta keep this in 45 minutes.
The Board of Adjustment, they also, if someone has a complaint with a decision of staff, the Board of Adjustment goes over that. And primarily they do one variance every year or 5 years. And the Planning Commission does not review those first. Only the Board of Adjustment reviews those. And if someone's variance is denied, their only recourse is the district court. So the Board of Adjustment is hardly ever meets. So it's a very low commitment, but once in a while you have a very important job, maybe once a year.
Lisa, I have a question for you. You said that their only recourse if the Board of Adjustments turns them down is the district court. The district court rules in their favor. Is there any liability for the people sitting on the Board of Adjustments?
That would be a question for Clayton, but I would say no. You all
Okay.
voted in good conscience.
Okay.
You know, I wouldn't be concerned about liability, but you could double check with Clayton.
Thank you.
The town has insurance that covers liability as long as you're making, like she said, ethical decisions. Perfect. If you do something unethical, then the insurance probably doesn't cover it.
Okay, so for the Board of Adjustments, I have Jeff and Sally or Dana with alternate Shane?
That's where we're at today.
Okay.
Or I could be alternate on planning commission and Jeff and Sally on Board of Adjustments with alternate of Shane. Or vice versa, Sally could, well, yeah. Yeah,
If it helps keep you off the alternate too, I can always be the alternate for the Board of Adjustments. If you think it might conflict with your schedule.
Okay, let's have you be the alternate. I didn't plan this right. I should be typing it. You should see over there, but this is where we're at. Okay, so now I have, let's see. Planning Commission, Tyler and Jim. And then our alternates, either Dana or Sally.
I can do it.
And I know Sally expressed interest in that.
You
too.
did request it.
Yeah.
So,
Then
We'll
great.
just- Is that okay? Okay. And then for the zoning boards of adjustments, I have Sally and Jeff, and trustee Bierma is the alternate. Does that sound good?
Sweet.
Okay, great. Now, the next one is the Kendall Master Planning Committee. I just wanted to kind of bring that one up, see where we're at. We do have DHM taking on the planning of that. Actually negotiating the contract this week. So I wanted to see how we wanted to proceed with this committee.
There's a couple different things that come to mind. One is it kind of depends what our consultant needs in terms of frequency of meeting with a group. if they're looking to have like monthly meetings throughout the process, I think then a committee probably would be better served to do that than having this board convene every time they want to meet. That said, I think that the Kendall Master Planning Committee was formed for a different purpose, and the members on it that are like community members at large may or may not have an interest in continuing with the new focus, but that there still should be.
There should be town input.
There should still be a committee with at least one trustee on it,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if the committee as established makes sense.
They may not want to sit on it also after
Right.
what has previously happened, but who knows?
Jeff, you were on the committee, right?
I was, yeah. Yeah. I felt a little burned, to be totally honest. And I think Shane's right to say that like I think it should be, there's a place for it. But it could definitely use like a fresh, kind of like it said, needs to be kind of reworked. And yeah, I think we'd have a lot of, new people interested. So
Should we put that on hold until we find out the frequency that our new consultant is going to need and to figure out, or should we just go ahead and form one so we have community input?
So my thought is, the process is going to be like a mini version of like what the Compass Project's doing. Like they're going to have I assume they're going to have community visioning sessions. There's going to be different forms for community input. The committee itself will serve a much smaller role now that there's a consultant engaged. Whereas before it was the committee that was kind of pushing everything forward. So I think I would suggest that we put 3 trustees on a committee and as a placeholder, and then we take guidance from the consultant in terms of what they want and need. And if they want a community based committee where there could be another process to identify and select community members to join it, or if they're going to do such a robust community engagement process that all they really need is a smaller group of trustees to be able to meet with more frequently.
Yeah, and that's the maximum we can have, right? Is 3?
Mhm.
Okay.
And more than that, the scheduling just, it doesn't.
Well, and I think it would be good to talk about process with the consultant as well, because at the community builders meetings that I attended and elsewhere, and from what I've heard from other people, there's a bit of community engagement fatigue, I think, and thoughts that, well, we've provided a lot of feedback on what should happen at Kendall for the last 5 years. And so if we could capitalize on a lot of the feedback that already exists. Because I think if we went to the community with a survey or a focus group or a community visioning session over at Kendall Rec Center to talk about Kendall, I'm not sure how well it would go over personally. But again, I have
So do you
for the whole
agree with the 3
process.
trustees on this?
I think that sounds good. Yeah, I'm just thinking like if the consultant comes to us and says, hey, we're going to do a whole year visioning session.
They're not. We've already
that kind of
discussed
comes
it
up.
with them.
Yeah. Great.
But like, I assume that they're going to at some point, like put together like a visualization of what things that they're thinking about, and there'll be different options, and they'll have like, a workshop with community members to be like, we love this, we don't love this. Like,
Yes.
Well, I'll be a placeholder on that committee.
And Sally doesn't want to be on there anymore? Or any further?
Let me look at my thing.
Her name's on the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Leave her on there.
That's her baby. I mean, that's, yeah. I just didn't know if she had voiced her opinion or something like that, but I'd be up for keeping her there.
I think that institutional knowledge would be really.
Absolutely.
I think she also is maybe missing the context of the conversation we just had. She's like, I don't know what we're going to do with it. She might not say anything.
the things I'm like, yeah, I'd be happy to be on that. I'd be happy to be still a part of that. I just
Keep
Cool.
it in there.
not in this, yeah.
Great.
You have PTSD.
And then for our Region 9 board, okay, so Kendall Master Plan Committee, placeholders are Sally, Tyler, and Jeff.
Sweet.
Okay. And then Region 9, I attend these meetings. I was going to request if I could have an alternate sometimes.
I could do that. I find that interesting.
And those are midday meetings, so.
Yeah, I'd be happy to be alternate.
Thank you.
We don't want to burn you out, Gloria.
I just sometimes get into scheduling hiccups. All right, San Juan Development Association, I'm okay with no alternate on that one. I'm in contact with her weekly, so it's totally fine. Ambulance board, we had Shane on the ambulance board at one point. I just kind of wanted to pass that by you on.
So the ambulance board has the standing board itself has rewritten their bylaws. There is, since we're a private nonprofit and we're not a government entity, they made that change, I guess, 10 years ago. The county wanted them to split from being a county. They've rewritten the bylaws and there's new eligibility requirements to sit on the ambulance board. And they no longer require a town trustee to sit on the board. County commissioner is required only. That being said, if somebody from the town board wants to sit on the ambulance board, they're certainly welcome to turn in a resume or a CV to the ambulance board, and then that board will consider it.
I was never invited to any meetings.
Yeah, that may have been my fault. I don't know.
Take this one off.
Well, we put John Ryder on, or they put John Ryder on it because at the time they still had a clause that said somebody from town should be on the board, but he only went to one meeting. So, but I'm sorry.
Should we take that off, the ambulance board off?
I check with the ambulance board and just make sure that I'm getting what they wanted correct. That was the gist I got from reading the new bylaws, but let me just double check and ask them and make sure that that was what they wanted.
Sure.
God knows we could use more people. We had a 3-person board for like 5 years. Well, we don't get people to do it, and then, you know, they'd make 1 or 2 meetings, and it was so riveting that they would just stop coming.
You're really selling these goods.
He just wants to keep all 9 of them.
That's going to be the last topic.
They do die to see us.
Okay, moving on to Chamber of Commerce. Deanne did ask me if I could be on this board, but they also have other, they also requested Dana as well.
Nice.
Wow.
Put the X in.
I mean, how can you do that? Because I'm a real strong business owner. Sure, great. Can't turn down a personal request from.
So is there anyone else that has an interest in it?
Well, historically, it was our entertainment director.
Oh, like events.
Yeah.
You know the one.
The guy.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Brenner.
Lisa Brenner, and then by default, it would have been just Nathan.
Mhm.
But if we're gonna switch it up, cool. That'd be great. We have fun.
And we can alternate too if you want.
Sure, yeah.
They are night meetings though.
Well, how often?
Once a
Be
month.
my alternate if you want.
Yeah, let's swap.
Okay.
I'll go hang out every,
And Jim, you're at those either way, yeah?
I got it.
Yeah, and you're already on the board, right?
pretty strong coverage there.
And I'm feeling a little bit more like I could take a little bit more on. Last time I
That's
definitely.
what I was gonna ask, is do you feel
Cliff's still the honcho?
Cliff is still a boss.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure, I like having a pulse on the community as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Passionate.
Cliff.
I'm feeling better about taking on a couple more roles.
Like what? Bottom.
Whereas when we first did this, I had 3 months under my belt and was a little nervous to take on additional roles.
Yeah, I think I could do an alternate. I don't know if I can commit to every meeting, but I think, is it monthly, quarterly,
And they will,
I'm
10 months out of the
What is
year,
it, Jim?
they meet.
every month?
Which one?
Chamber, is it monthly?
It's monthly, every third Tuesday.
Yeah.
And they meet 10 months out of the 12 months of this.
Yes.
All right. And now we'll go down to Silverton Stakeholders. Is everyone okay with that Okay,
What is that?
and Silverton Stakeholders, I
This
haven't,
is another fun one.
Isn't that
This is good.
an offshoot of
Yeah, yeah.
animus stakeholders, or is that?
So Jim and I have typically attended them, but as like business
Yeah.
owners, not in our role as trustee. And that actually was a topic of discussion for a while, and that we didn't constitute trustees at those meetings, and it was unclear how we resolved it 2 attorneys ago. But generally it's like the chamber, a bunch of business owners. And then all the other, like the fire department, San Miguel Power, the internet people.
Banking, lodging, restaurants.
Yeah.
It just represents really.
Talk about not getting invited to meetings. I feel like the ambulance should have been there.
I'm not in charge.
I'm kidding.
Region 9 typically facilitates the meetings with TM.
You know what it was? We sent it
With
to the
chamber.
ambulance board and probably the invitation was lost.
Yeah, I'm sure.
and when was the last meeting?
They communicate really well with me.
Did I miss?
It was right after we switched from virtual meetings. It was like one of the first in-person meetings I went
It was a
to.
while ago.
Okay,
And I think they're typically quarterly. And that probably was early Q1. And so we're probably due for another one. I actually think that they're super helpful because every meeting starts out with a roundtable of like, what's the last 3 months been like for you and your business or your organization? And you get a pretty quick sense of what's going on.
That's good.
And they're typically during the day and they're held at the office in the basement of the Grand.
Do you serve food?
I mean,
They're like lunchtime,
I can stay on that one. I just,
Is there food served?
There can be.
usually.
What are we talking about? I didn't realize there were meetings that serve food. I want to be on those boards.
Does your ambulance board serve food?
No, I will get.
Meaning Silverton Stakeholders has food?
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
that's a posh one.
It's
Everybody dresses up like it's
Yep. I wear my feathers. It's great.
okay. So I can stay on that one since,
Yeah.
but I just feel bad I haven't been to a meeting yet, so. And then Southwest Council of Governments. I'm happy staying on that one. That's a great way for me to talk to all of our regional partners. And then Jim, are you good still being the alternate?
And just to provide a little content behind being that alternate, I sat on that when I was down in Durango with the Choo Choo. So I knew a lot of the players already. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. That'd be fun. So that's why I nominated myself and I got drafted.
I appreciate the alternate status though. Someone to call on when my schedule is so full.
So is it possible to find, I'd like clarity on whether or not we can serve both roles in attendance at those meetings. So that would be chamber for Jim and the stakeholders meeting for Jim and I to just see like if
Is
there is
private or
like-
public?
Huh?
I mean, is private or public?
just like, can we represent both the town and our private interests at those meetings? Or do we need to not be designated as representatives of the board at those meetings and clarify that or anything like that?
That's just smart.
Because I feel like that still was kind of uncertain when we last talked about it.
Okay. I will ask Clayton. And
Jeff, are you a shoe-in for the MSI?
MSI.
Nice.
And that one, I haven't had any contact with them. I need to reach out to them to see, but we do have a place on their board. Is that correct? Like we have a spot
Historically,
historically? Okay.
it'd be interesting to find out also just how they're doing. I don't think we've gotten an update from them in a while. And the last time that I talked to Marcy, she still was seriously pursuing the development of like a base station, like a center here, like a science center. They wanted housing and
Michelle's still with them, right?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Michelle, if she's still with MSI too.
Hamilton Fury.
I think she went to Region 9.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Sweet.
doing economic development.
Well, that's fantastic.
And then we have the OHB Task Force, and I just still had this on here from the last time we talked.
I think, the OHV people need to see some new faces. I'm just saying, they hate me, so I kid.
It's funny.
I guess the question is like,
Do we need one?
I mean, I don't know.
I think probably
Pretty
yes.
much killed the last one. Kidding. I know, in all sincerity, do we need one?
We certainly are going to experience community-wide issues relating to OHVs for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
I think we need to be really clear on what is the purpose and intent of that committee. As opposed to just spinning
Yeah.
their wheels.
Is it, because it's not, I wouldn't want it to become, how do we build a new route for them to come through town? Or is it just education about making sure that people don't get in trouble and like getting messaging out? Or what is it?
I mean, I guess this is a question for the town, which is, does the town want additional trustee and community input to facilitate whatever challenges we may face with parking and trailers and other stuff? And is that the right place to do it? Or does the town feel like it's in hand with the county and not need the support?
I will,
I mean, that's the real purpose of all these committees, right? Is to provide additional support or oversight or facilitation.
and I will say, the county has the exact same feeling about OHVs towards us as what you just stated, which is very strange now because they're not allowed here. But in the last meeting I was at for the ambulance, Willie said, well, it's the town's problem when it came to signage and a few other things. And so I think that that's probably a good idea then that we have something to help
I agree.
manage that.
This feels like another one to recalibrate though, as like because the purpose of the formation of the committee as is was very different. And it was like making sure that community representation existed in coming up with potential ways to avoid what ultimately was voted.
Right.
But now that was voted and that it's more about how do we navigate the new environment, that seems more like a trustee thing. Which those three trustees, whoever served on that board, could then determine that they'd like to open it back up to, community at large roles and stuff. So it would be up to that.
The one thing I also would worry about is I don't want to have a 5-hour meeting with public comment with people telling us how stupid we are for shutting down OHVs. Now they're never going to spend money here ever again. And we've shot ourselves in the foot. So.
And also who would be like the staff facilitator that would determine like what the agenda is. And like, again, is that something that the town wants or needs? Do you want to?
I don't think we need this. I think when it comes to OHVs, the communication is going to be key. And I would like to work with some of the OHV groups that are out there already and already in existence on how they could help us with our communication.
So do you want to table this committee for the time being? And then if that becomes a project requiring more bandwidth,
30,000.
you could let us know. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah, it just doesn't seem completely clear to me what that OHP task force would be mandated to do.
Yeah, and that's why
Like,
maybe we.
It's like not a lot. I mean, you could say, well, let's facilitate shuttles or let's start a new business. It's sort of like it's up to the local market to decide how it's going to respond. And I think our efforts to collaborate with the county on signage and try to make sure we're all clear on what is and isn't allowed and working with, public safety and.
Well, and we can do that though, like just board to board.
Yeah,
right? We can
exactly.
say, well, we have these signs, you have your signs, where are we going to put them up? Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what else we could really make traction on with trustee time. But if you think it's any other ideas about what we should do.
I think we'll find out very soon if this is a large one or one that can be managed, for their committee.
Okay, so we'll table that one until we do need to call on them at some point. If we need to like convene them or create a new one at some point, we'll just kind of put this one in dormancy. How about that?
Sure.
I think, again, as long as we're working, it seems like the signs are in place and back to the communication piece. I think it's important for us to communicate to the community what is happening around managing OHVs in town and in the county. I still would say, you know, can we do, like, I think you were talking about Gloria press release or just something so people know we're trying to ease the
I would
transition.
just note that we're kind of diverging from the purpose of
Committee.
to actually like doing committee work,
And I,
but I agree.
in all sincerity, the last conversation we had on OHVs, which was the entire board, I thought it went really well. I mean, it was smooth and it wasn't a 3, I mean, it
Yeah.
could have been, wasn't. So yeah.
Okay, we'll put that one into dormancy now. As far as the cemetery committee, it currently has Beveridge with the Historical Society, Scott Fetchenheiser with the Historical Society, and his role is that Casey Carroll, Kelly Freeze. And I think those are the only at-large citizens right now. We don't have a trustee on that one.
How many trustees do we?
We don't have a set amount. And this is more of like a passion group.
I've done a lot of work on the cemetery
Mhm.
back in the day with my dad, like fixing stuff up. I'd be happy to sit on that. Got a lot
It'd be cool.
of time spent up there doing
Awesome.
maintenance and things.
Excellent.
You know, you don't want an award for sitting on all of the committees.
I'm counting. I don't have as many as you.
You're on 7.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's the old one. That's
Oh,
not the new one.
Yeah, the new one, you're on 5.
But I've got,
Harper's-
Tyler, I've got public safety, public utilities, finance, planning commission, board of adjustments.
no, I'm
No,
not.
you're not on that one.
Yeah.
Kettle Mountain Master Plan and now the cemetery committee.
Do you want me to read off the ones that you guys have? Actually, I can open that one up.
Can I switch off of the public utilities or is that?
Oh, you're
Here,
going
I'll
back
show
to
you.
yellow? That's important.
Okay, no, yellow's important. Sorry, my bad, my bad.
I'm gonna save this one and I'm gonna show you guys your.
And then I had a couple committee related questions once we.
I'll end up in the cemetery if I sit on too many boards. Like you said.
I mean, it's okay.
I also sit
Don't
on the
meet
Southwest
that
RETAC
frequency.
board and the RETAC board and all my ambulance boards. So yeah,
That's by-
might be right.
Know your limits, Tyler.
Board to death.
Oh.
Good.
But how often does the cemetery board meet?
Well, we're meeting.
Probably should be more often.
And does it need a trust? I mean, with Todd's
Usually
Todd
Todd
sitting on there,
Kind of
like,
bring stuff to
do we
the
need
Parks and
a
Rec.
trustee? Or is it just request, that's a good request for representation?
I do think,
Jordan, that was brilliant. Sincerely. Should it be rolled into Parks and Rec?
I don't know if it should be rolled into
Not a
Parks and Rec,
subcommittee, is it?
but I feel like Todd should be
Adjacent to
doing.
it? I agree.
But I think what we could do, like, I don't think that everyone on Parks and Rec should monthly be going to a cemetery board meeting. But I think that if Todd's going to all of those monthly and the Parks and Rec is meeting quarterly, Todd can do updates to the Parks and Rec and it could be under that umbrella.
Mhm.
And then that would give us another reason to make sure that Parks and Rec meets quarterly.
Do cemetery really meet monthly?
I think after the last issue with the fencing that there's more stuff going on.
That was big.
Seems like a nice way to close the loop, but not overcommit everybody.
Mm,
I'm gonna share a new screen here. This is the one.
Should there be a trustee on the Historical Society board? I feel like that is a board that we, as a town, don't hear a whole lot from internally, but we get a decent number of letters from about their dislike of things we're doing. And if maybe there was more overlap, we could be more aligned.
Well, no, now I have to sit on that board too because of all the work I've done for the historical society.
That's right.
I'm kidding.
Well, you were born here, so you have to.
You're historical.
That was my primary job from when I was 18 to like 24 is fixing old buildings around here.
But is that one you have to be invited to? Historical
It's
Society?
exclusive.
It's pretty exclusive. It's a
Yeah.
Club.
Okay, so this is what I have so far
I mean, does it have actual like
on your
teeth
site.
in terms of oversight?
The stuff that happens out at the old power plant area, yes, absolutely.
Like, can they veto like a planning commission decision?
They got a powerful lobby.
They can
So
definitely,
it's a lobby as opposed to like an official group.
they can slow stuff down or, yeah. And they can decide what people do in that area because of it's his.
Out there, what about in town?
Tyler's really committed there. So you're very committed
Tyler's.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Very committed where? Oh, yeah, hold on.
comparatively.
3, 4, 5, 6.
We appreciate the enthusiasm.
Anybody want to take who else is interested in cemetery?
Jeff's
or
on 5
Public works.
also.
You're on 5.
I'm happy with my.
Five but 2 of them are like.
Wait, I have
Deck.
4.
Right.
Oh, 5, yeah, you're right.
I'm down to 3. So I could definitely take something off someone's plate.
Mhm.
Public utilities or cemetery?
Utilities.
And it's okay. You can put me on more
You want
committed.
utilities now, Shane?
We'll have fun.
Sure.
Okay.
It's like a Jeopardy board. I'll take public utilities.
And Sally went
300?
5. Well, 4.5.
So that means you'll show up.
For the sake of balance, I can be committed to Chamber of Commerce, even though I own no business in town.
Yeah, sometimes you need that objective
Right.
though.
Well,
You need a
that's
different
right.
Point of view.
If I was personally requested.
I would just say, as a consumer, I know what you guys should do.
I mean, you are on the finance committee, which is a regular
Yeah.
commitment,
That's true. And Chamber of Commerce is.
and you didn't end up as the alternate on the planning commission. That's Sally. Okay.
I'm alternate for Region 9, right? Okay.
Who's got the lightest load for sure. And then I'm second and light.
Gloria, did we switch the utilities between?
I just did.
Thanks.
Sorry, I can't do it there because it's weird to look.
Oh, okay.
But I'm doing it on the actual line. So we switched the utilities. Okay, so now our new public utilities is Shane, Jim, and Jeff.
It's gonna be our job to start figuring out how to finance this wastewater work.
My grant stuff.
Didn't you just build Durangos basically by yourself? Just build us one.
Sure.
That was the most impressive part of your CV.
All by myself.
When I read it, it said, I built Durango, a brand new wastewater plant.
It wasn't all by myself.
From planning to grants to shoveling to, she's it, so.
All right.
Yeah, I got this.
Got a faith in you.
So I know we kind of like went into jest in the Historical Society, but I do think that there's some like process that feels like it's been like, for example, the recent Columbine Park development, after we voted on it, we found out that, I guess we got letters in between the 2 meetings, but saying that they didn't think that it was sufficiently historic. And now there's conversations going on about a historic facade or not, which obviously would impact the budget and other things. But that's something where like, if we had more interaction with or overlap with the Historic Society, we would have avoided.
Also, though, isn't it the planning commission's job to enforce those the historical overlay district, not
The Historical
the
Society,
historical society itself? Like they
totally understand.
they make like, this is what you should do. And then the planning commission is supposed to follow the steps was my understanding, but.
Or is the Historical Society like a private landowner, well, a nonprofit landowner that, is the steward of a lot of things, but not like a board or committee like this.
And they have requested to meet with the trustees at some point to talk about sort of becoming certified local government and a couple other issues. So we were kind of hoping that we could put them on the next work session. So in June, where they would meet with you all as a board. And maybe that's kind of a place where we could discuss their roles versus our roles.
Yeah, it seems important for us to, at the very least, have a better understanding of
How they work.
and what they oversee.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I had them kind of tentatively scheduled for June. I can solidify that one.
Yeah.
Great.
The other question I had that was generally about boards and committees. We made a decision just before you guys joined to have all of the boards and committees be recorded and live streamed on YouTube, similar to our regular meetings. I think that that was a really good move. I'd like to keep doing that.
Yeah, for transparency.
We also have on a committee by committee basis, but I think all of them at this point have said yes to including public comment, similar to the main meetings, in the meetings themselves. In the past, there have been situations in other places, and possibly here, where public comment becomes overwhelming to the length of the meeting. And so it's been curbed in other places for certain purposes. We really don't have that much participation or that many community members where, like, unless there's, some major landmark issue, like when we had the OHV meeting or the Kendall meeting, where we had like hours of public comment, but it's really not something that seems like we need to curb ourselves.
Yeah.
So you guys are good with that too. And then the actual question there was, how does that apply to the entities on this list that aren't just us? So like, does the library board or the planning commission or the cemetery committee, are those going to be live streamed so that we can watch them too? Or is that?
Should we ask them how they've historically, I guess, done it? And if it fits in and it's not against any rules, we can go that way. Do you know the Board of Adjustments, you are allowed to go into executive session for debate on an issue, but you have to make your vote in public. But that was spelled out pretty clearly in their rules.
I'd say like the planning commission, for example, like I would love to watch those videos, but I almost never can attend the meeting.
Yeah. Getting the county to, well, it's on Zoom. I don't know why they can't record it. So we can certainly ask. But they still put a tape recorder out and record the meeting that way.
Who's the chair of that planning commission? Is it Willie?
No, the chair of the planning commission is Jim Weller. So, but all we have to do is have Willie hit the record button.
I feel like maybe at the next meeting, we could have a agenda item where we ask if this board would like to give direction to the members of the planning commission to ask. And that would be the right process to do it, as opposed to having that direction given here.
Sure.
And then I would just say for the other entities, maybe the representative from the town, whether it's staff or a trustee, could bring it up, like the library board. I'll definitely bring that up when I attend that meeting and see if we can get online or not.
I don't know if like how meaningful that it is for the whole community, but I know that there's a decent number of people that, like you're in this room, that would like to participate when their schedule permits.
The library board? Yeah, I would. It'd be fun. Books.
Okay. Anything else? That's all I have. I just needed my little ducks to align. Placeholders to be filled.
Are we talking about meeting timings and all that kind of stuff? Are we?
Oh, yeah.
Good?
Yeah. I think the two ones, so the quarterly ones are called, I think the two I would like to schedule out is the ordinance and personnel and the finance committee.
Sweet.
Those are the two I would like. I've been kind of holding off until we had formed our new committees, because it was like right in the middle of the transition, so would love, so finance committee, we've met mornings, Monday mornings at 9 o'clock, and that is the third Monday.
Isn't it the same day as I forget.
Let me just double check. It is the.
Yeah, it's the second Monday, sorry. It's the second Monday of every month at 9.
Does that still work for everyone?
Works good for me.
Dana, does that work okay for you?
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, then we'll just keep that meeting and we'll meet on the 16th and I'll send you all an invite for that. And then the ordinance and personnel committee. All right. So I'll send out an email for that one since Sally's on that one, if that's okay.
That one's usually been like middle of the day on a weekday.
It's been a lot of random times, I feel like. But if we could get a set like third something of the month, that would be great.
And I'm fine with that being during normal business hours because that one typically requires multiple staff depending on the topic. Like that's often like you know, Bill and Lisa.
Mhm. Great.
Cool.
All right, so I'll send in an invite for that one. And I think since the Parks Recs and Buildings and Grounds Committee, you all have a meeting already set. Is that correct?
We just scheduled it-ish.
And I will get a hold of John and Bill and let them know their committee members.
And Jeff, you just did a tour with John.
Mhm.
Cool. So we're going to try and do that on Thursday of this week. And so all three of us will have been recently briefed and toured.
Excellent.
Master plan. Planning commission. And you'll follow up with Gloria, you'll follow up with consultant for Kendall and find out what they would like to do in terms of utilizing our tentative committee.
Yes, so they had requested a meeting with the trustees at some point when we were looking at kind of the end of May or the beginning of June. So you guys closed on that. We have another meeting with them on Wednesday to go over this contract that we've been working on, and then we can move on from there.
Cool. And do you also mind putting on your to-do list, following up with Region 9 about whenever the next stakeholder meeting is scheduled for?
Oh, is that who that's through? Is Region 9? Is the stakeholders, Silverton Stakeholders?
Or Deanne for the chamber?
Yeah.
They kind of co-chair it.
I think Dee's in attendance.
Oh,
Can I ask her?
yeah. Deanne, if you're watching, do you know when the next stakeholder meeting is scheduled for?
I allowed her to talk.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, God, now my dog's gonna bark.
Goodness.
Silverton Stakeholders is technically San Juan Development.
Oh, my
Beth
bad.
is the one who organizes that quarterly with Federal Lands Managers, Historical Society. Really, it's not really a seat. It's just everyone is invited from the community, business community, trustees. And Gloria, that was the meeting we had on Friday.
Oh, okay.
I have, so you have attended.
I'm gonna just put San Juan Development.
That's funny.
Sorry about all the misinformation on that one.
Well, when we didn't have a director, I briefly took it over, so you are correct.
Gotcha. Do you know, so even though there was one just this last week, do you know when the next one's tentatively scheduled for, even just like month?
Oh God,
month?
Gloria, I don't think we did that, did we? As a board?
No, we just sent our next board meeting, but we didn't set the next.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll just keep on the lookout for that.
Yeah, and Beth needs to rebuild that invite list, so she'll probably just throw all of you on there and you're more than welcome to attend.
Cool. Sweet. Thank you, Deanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I guess I attended.
Good for you.
You are.
Was there anything else on the first slide?
On what?
The
First slide.
Let's see, it was just setting the dates, evaluating the relevancy of the boards and committees, and then assignments. I'm trying to get there.
Cool. Well, happy May. And here we go.
Good to go.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.